Yo, what's good with you? On today's video, I got part 3 of how to make Roblox Rivals. You guys showed the first two parts a lot of love and everything. Like I said, just keep the love, keep showing the videos love, and I will keep dropping more and more parts and stuff. So yeah, so part 3, as you can see, we are in a lobby, not the 1v1 place. So I wanted to go ahead and knock out making a weapon store, inventory system, and equip system. Pretty much you're able to shop for other guns, purchase other guns, you can view the guns you currently, as well as you can view the guns you currently own, and equip guns and stuff. So like, obviously once you add more guns to your game, aside from the default ones, players can equip those before they go off to 1v1, 2v2, whatever the case. So let's go ahead and get straight into the video. First things first, let's go ahead and knock out the stuff I added here, and then we'll get into the UI. Okay, so as I already know, I already have the stuff added in here. Very simple. I added a remote event in a folder. Let's cover the remote event. Simply, just like we did with the 1v1 plays. Plus icon on replicated storage, bam, type remote event, insert a remote event, rename said remote event to core event. Then we have a folder, plus icon. Insert a folder, right? Okay, I can't spell. Insert a folder. Rename said folder to weapons info folder, right? We're going to have, and then you're going to insert a folder into that folder, and then the folder is going to be the name of the weapon. Again, case sensitive. Make sure the names match across everything, right? So if you guys notice, right? We have Scar and Glock, the two default weapons that I have. Again, names match exactly as is, right? And then I added two new, like, a new primary and a new secondary and stuff. The names don't have to be the exact same as mine. The whole point is that you just, make sure it's the exact same name for your gun. Not the same as mine, but the same as whatever your name, like the naming is consistent, right? So I added these two new guns and stuff, like at least to the weapon info folder. Then you need two values, right? One is a number value, the other is a string value. Plus icon, number value, string value. Simple. And then you want to rename the number value to price. This is how much it'll cost to purchase said weapon. The currency system we're going to use is called keys because I'm pretty sure that's what it is in Rivals, but you can call it coins, cash, money, whatever. Then we have weapon type, the string value, which if you guys recall from part 1, that's, the weapon type, if it's a primary, secondary, whatever, and stuff. And then you're just going to, the value will be set to whatever kind of type of weapon it is. Then the price, set it to whatever you want, right? Now, for the default weapons, obviously the price would be set to 0 and stuff. I mean, the player will have these unlocked regardless, so it doesn't really matter, but still I would just set it to 0 just by default. And then yeah, now we can move on to the UI. Make sure both of those are inside of replicated storage, and let's move on to the UI. So we are going to make some weapon UI. So first things first, we can duplicate the play text button, select it, Control plus D. You're going to drag it under it. I'm going to make it a lot smaller button, maybe like 80 by 50 and stuff. And then I'm going to set the text, of course, to weapons and everything. Make it maybe like 90 and stuff, right? I'm gonna make the background color nice. Faded, transparent, like a darker gray, I should say. So something like that. Bam, right? Then you're gonna want to rename this text button to weapons text button, right? Then from there, we are going to want to duplicate the matchmaking frame. So Control D, save ourselves a whole bunch of time. Rename this frame to weapons frame, make it visible. And then I think I made it like a little bit longer, I think. Or maybe not actually, that might have just been it. But yeah. So then we can delete this, we can delete the one text button, right? Inside of the weapons frame, right? I'm going to insert I think I did was it a UI? No, I don't think it was a UI stroke. I think I just made a border. Yeah, that was just it. So border size pixels equal to 2, and then just gave it like a nice little white border. So then we're going to insert a text label into the weapons frame. Bam, let me just double check. Okay, we are good. And then you're going to insert a text label, top, middle. This is going to be our header. So just say weapons. So you can just really say weapons text label, right? Bold text, rich text, scale the text. Then just put weapons, black text color. Text stroke color will be set to white. Text stroke transparency is set to 0, right? And then background color will be set to a nice faded darkish gray. 0.5 transparency as always. So, and then I will give it a white border as well. Watercolor white, bam. So, right, we have that. Then I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, right? I'm going to drag this over here. It's going to be a lot smaller this time. So, like, let's see what 100 looks like. Okay, let's do like 120, and then, yeah, let's do like 120, then just put it like in the middle, like right there, right? You're going to want to rename this to primary weapons. So just put primary weapons text label, then at the top you're going to put primary weapons, right? Bam. Then you're going to duplicate this, Control plus D, drag this over here, same thing, except this time, of course, you're going to change primary to secondary. Boom, and boom, right? Now we're going to make two scrolling frames. So let's insert plus icon on the weapons, click the plus icon on the weapons frame, insert a scrolling frame, bam, right? You can align it right here. And then I'm gonna make it just a little long for me, like 130, like 135 should be good. So something like that. And then, or no, actually, it's like 150 or nah, like 140, I guess. Yeah, something like that. And then I'll make it like, I don't know, 200. Or no, we could really just bring it down. So like 240, 230. Yeah, 230 looks good. Or no, maybe like 225, honestly. 229 perhaps, maybe. I think that's like right there, I think. Regardless, background color, will be I think I did white actually. Yeah, I did like a faded white and then so 0.5 background transparency. So something like that. Border, we're going to give it a nice white border, so something like that. Wait, why does it look like that? I just realized. Yeah, why does it look like that? Maybe it was like a UI. No, no, that's how it's supposed to look. Hmm, weird. Well, anyway, so yeah, so we have our scrolling frame. You're going to want to rename this to primary weapons frame. We're going to put all the primary weapons and stuff. It's going to show all the weapons in the game. Um, and then you're going to be able to distinguish between which one you own, and which ones you don't own. And you'll have the option to, of course, buy said weapons. Then you can duplicate this, select it, Control plus D, drag it over to the secondary weapons, throw it in the corner, rename it to secondary weapons frame. Then you click the plus icon, insert a UI grid layout into the primary weapons frame. You guys can set this to whatever you want. I did 180 by 50, so 180 by, okay, that's not 180, 180 by 50, bam. Then duplicate it, Control plus D, drag it into secondary weapons frame, bam, right? And then we're going to we're really save ourselves some time. So just Control D, one of the text labels, right? You're gonna drag it into the middle, make it as long as really possible. So like we could try like 170, and then squeeze it in there. Yeah, right. And then you're going to want to rename this to equipped. So this is going to be equipped primary weapon text label. Pretty long name. So then duplicate this, Control plus D, drag it under, then just change primary to secondary. So this is how the player is going to see which weapon they currently have equipped, so that they can also equip weapons that they already, equipped weapons that they already own. And then you could just clear the text. It doesn't need to have any default text or anything like that. So bam, and then just like that, we are done with that weapon UI. So make the weapons frame not visible by default, of course. Now we can move on to the scripting. Okay, open up starter player, open up starter player scripts, open up the local lobby script. Okay, first things first, we're going to need to create a variable for the new remote event we created. So go to the top. We're going to say local core event is equal to game that replicated storage, wait for child, core event, enter, right? Then I'm going to scroll down after this function we have right here. We're going to create a variable for the weapons info folder. So local weapons info folder is equal to game that replicated storage, wait for child, weapons info folder. Then we're going to set up the function. We're going to say core GUI dot weapons text button dot activated connect function, close parentheses, enter. We're going to first, of course, wipe out any text buttons that are inside of the primary weapons frame or the secondary weapons frame because we want to clear it out every time because we want to make sure it's up to date and that there aren't any duplicates and stuff. So we're going to say for IV in pairs. We're going to say core GUI dot weapons frame dot primary weapons frame get children enter if V is a text button enter V destroy. Then you can really just copy and paste this, select it, Control C, put a space, Control V, and then just change this to secondary weapons frame. And then boom, moving on from that, we're then going to set up a for IV in pairs loop. We're going to say for IV in pairs weapons info folder get children enter. We're going to create a variable for the specific weapon folder. It's going to be specific, right? The weapon folder, like, so this is the specific weapon. So like this is the weapons info folder, but these are the weapon folders, the individual weapon folders. Just want to clarify that. But yeah, so then we're going to create the weapon text button. So local weapon text button. We're really just going to spend a lot of time just setting some properties. Is equal to instance.new text button. Enter. Set some properties. Weapon text button. Dot name is equal to weapon folder. Dot name dot quotation marks text button. Enter. Weapon text button. Dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new 1 comma 0 comma 0, but of course, or actually no, make sure you use the same colors as me if you don't know what you're doing, because if you change the colors you're going to have to update the script as well. We're making it red by default and then we'll set it to green if the player already owns said weapon. So then I'm going to say weapon text button, let's say weapon text button dot background transparency is equal to 0.2. Weapon text button dot text color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new 0 comma 0 comma 0, so black. Weapon text button dot text scaled is equal to true. Weapon text button dot rich text is equal to true. Weapon text button dot font face dot bold is equal to true, and weapon text button dot text is equal to weapon folder dot name, which is just the name of said weapon. Scroll down a little. And then I'm going to use an if statement. I'm going to say if player that owned weapons folder, remember that's so that we know which weapon the player owns and stuff. Find first child in quotation marks owned, because it'll be owned and then followed by the weapons name. So weapon folder dot name enter. So pretty much this is checking to see if the player already owns the weapon. So weapon text button dot background color 3 is equal to color 3 dot new. And then here you're just going to put, I'm going to set it to green and stuff so that the player knows they already own said weapon. Then we're going to use another if statement. We're going to say if weapon folder dot weapon type. This is so that we know which frame to put it under, if it's either primary weapon or secondary weapon. So we're going to say if weapon folder dot weapon type dot value is equal to primary, enter. Then we're going to say weapon text button dot parent is equal to core GUI dot weapons frame dot primary weapons frame, right? Then enter, throw an else, copy what we just wrote, Control C, Control V, change this to secondary, and then change this to secondary. Then we're done with that. Then after the if statement, right? Let's see. Then after that if statement, we're moving on to the function for when the player clicks on the button. So we'll say weapon text button dot activated connect function, close parentheses, enter, right? And then we're going to use an if statement. So we're going to go based off of the color. So we're going to say if weapon text button dot background color 3, and then since color 3 is unreliable, we're going to convert it. So we're just going to say 2HSV is equal to color 3 dot new, and then 1 comma 0 comma 0, pretty much seeing if it's red, but of course we need to convert it. So if the text button's background color is equal to red, which means they don't currently own it, then press enter. Then you're going to fire their mode event core event fire server in quotation marks. You're going to put, oh my bad, we're going to use an if statement, sorry. We're going to say if player dot leader stats dot keys, our currency system, dot value is greater than or equal to weapon folder, the specific weapon folder, dot price, dot value, to see if they even have enough to buy it, right? that value, enter, and if they do, then we're going to fire their mode event, core event, fire server, quotation marks, purchase, send over. We're going to, of course, send over the weapons names, weapon folder.name, just to clarify, right? After this, we're also going to say weapon text button. I'm gonna clarify something in a second. We're gonna say background. We're gonna set the background color equal to green, right? And I wanted to clarify something. We are verifying the purchase on the server side. All this is doing is simply, this is just for performance and stuff. Like, because let's say like a player changed like their price, like changed, I don't know, the prices. Keep in mind, exploiters can only affect stuff on the client side. They can't change stuff on the server side. Here's what I'm saying. If I'm an exploiter, right, and if on the client side, like let me show you an example, right? So I'm on the client side, right? I'm an exploiter. Let's say, oh, I access replicated storage. Oh, I open weapons info folder. I access one of the guns. I change the price to like 0 so I can buy it. Here's what's gonna happen. It's gonna change here. Like notice this. I'm gonna change the price here, but if I switch to the server side, right? It's going to remain unchanged and stuff because exploiters cannot access the server side. All this is simply doing, this is just simply for performance. That's all this is doing and stuff is to make it so that the remote event isn't firing every single time that they're trying to purchase and stuff. So even if an exploiter bypassed this, all they would do is fire their remote event and change the background color of the gun. They still would have to go to the server side and have the purchase verified and everything. So it wouldn't matter just in case anybody was concerned about that. But yeah, moving on. After this if statement, we're going to say else if weapon text button dot background color 3 to HSV is equal to color 3 dot new, and then this time we're going to do green. This pretty much means they're trying to equip. They already own the gun. They're just trying, or the weapon. They're just trying to equip it. So to HSV, enter. Then we're going to say if weapon type, so we know, or sorry, if weapon folder dot weapon type dot value is equal to primary. Enter, right? This is how we know which one to update. We're going to say core GUI dot weapons frame dot equipped primary text label dot text is equal to weapon text button. Wait, I just realized something. I could have actually just used, I could have done this in like one line of code instead of using if statement. Because I could have really just did something like, I just thought about it, like, if I instead just did equipped, then whatever the weapon type value. That's probably easier for y'all to understand if I do it like this anyway. So we're going to say dot text is equal to weapon text button dot text dot quotation mark space, and then you're just going to put equipped in parentheses just so that players, understand that that's what the text label's for. And then throw in else after, copy what we just wrote to Control C, Control V. Of course, change this to secondary and change this to equipped secondary text label, right? And then bam. Lastly, you're gonna fire their mode event so that we can update the guns they currently have equipped, like the values and stuff, so that if the player joins a server, like we know which guns they plan to use. So name of the event will be called equip weapon, comma, send over the name of the weapon, as well as the weapon type, right? So you're gonna do that, and then we're going to skip 3 ends, and then we're going to update the weapons frame. So this is so that when you open the weapons frame, whatever guns you currently have equipped are going to be displayed automatically. So weapons frame that equipped primary. It's really the same thing. So we can really just copy and paste. Control C, Control V. All you're doing is just changing this part right here. We're just gonna say player, then our info folder dot primary weapon dot value dot quotation mark space equipped in parentheses, and then just Control C, Control V, and then just of course just change. Okay, that's not even right. Equipped secondary, and then secondary weapon, right? And then the last thing you're going to do, you're just going to do core GUI dot weapons frame dot visible is equal to opposite weapons frame dot visible. Bam. Just like that, we are done with the local script. Okay, now let's move on to the server script, right? We are, okay. So we're going to go here. We are going to add, we're honestly just going to like we're just gonna double this code, not gonna lie, so it's not gonna take too long. So we're gonna go to the top, create two variables first. Obviously a variable for the remote event. Core event is equal to game.replicated storage, wait for child. Core event, enter, then create a variable for the weapons info folder. So weapons info folder is equal to game.replicated storage, wait for child. Weapons info folder, same thing as what we did on the client side. Then we're just gonna add some values. First things first, we're gonna go here. We're gonna copy and paste what we did for level, Control C, put a space under it, Control V. We're going to rename this to keys. This is going to be our currency. So Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. And I'm going to parent it to leader stats so that it's displayed for the world to see. By default, well, maybe in your game, by default, people will have any number of keys, but I'm just going to set it to 0, right? Then we're going to go down here after our primary and secondary weapon. We're going to create a new folder as well as 2 new values. So let's save ourselves some time. You're just going to copy and paste the info folder along with all of its values. Control C, Control V. You're going to change the name of the info folder to owned weapons folder. Here's how we keep track. I'll probably do data saving in like a future part and stuff, so it'll save once, like, once you leave and everything. But own weapons folder, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V right there, and then bam, right. Then now we need to adjust the values. So you're just gonna put owned, and then you're gonna put your default weapon here. Remember, my default weapons is the Scar and the Glock. And remember, naming is very important. So I'm gonna put owned Scar, Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. And then this is going to be just a bool value, right? So name just owned Scar, set the value, just set to true, and then parent will of course be owned weapons folder. So owned weapons folder, come down here, same thing, owned Glock. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V, and then once again just a bool value. Then just set the value to true, parent this to the owned weapons folder. Bam, right? So we keep track of whatever's owned. And then once you purchase a new gun, it's going to automatically create this new value and store it inside of the owned weapons folder, right? Moving forward, we can come down to our last function. We're going to say core event.onServerEvent connect function in parentheses, put PLR short for player, comma event type, comma arg1, comma arg2 short for argument number 1 and argument number 2. Just simply information we're sending over from the client to the server. Enter. You're going to set up an if statement. You're going to say if event type is equal to purchase, so if a player is trying to purchase a weapon, enter, of course, create a variable for the weapon name is equal to argument number 1. Then you're going to set up an if statement. So this is what I mean when I said we're verifying the purchase on the server side before we give the player the weapon. So if player.leaderStats.keys.value is greater than equal to weapons info folder, regular brackets, then you're gonna throw the weapon name in there, go on the outside and say dot price dot value, enter, right? Then you can really just copy and paste this part, Control C, Control V if they have enough, change the greater sign to less than, and then bam, you're good with that line. Then we're gonna create the owned value and stuff. Let's save ourselves some time, just copy and paste this, Control C, Control V. Just change this to owned weapon, right? Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. Very important for the name, right? Very important. You're going to leave the word owned, then dot dot dot. Then you're going to put weapon name at the end. Very important, right? And then of course you're going to parent this to the player's owned weapons folder, right? So boom, done with that. Then I'm going to go after this and then throw an else if. We're going to say else if event type is equal to equip weapon. So when a player's trying to equip a weapon, enter. You're going to create a variable for the weapon name, arg2, then the weapon type, which is arg2, right? Well, weapon name is arg1 and weapon type is arg2. I think I might have said that backwards. Anyway, we're going to verify first that the player owns said weapon. So we're simply going to say player dot owned weapons folder, find first child. The fact that I said it and didn't type it is actually insane. Anyway, quotation marks owned dot dot dot. Then you're going to throw the weapon name. So this would mean the player owns it. Enter. And if that's the case, then we'll say player dot info regular bracket weapon type. So either if it's primary or secondary dot 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 quotation marks weapon out on the outside dot value is set to weapon name. So we're pretty much updating one of these values and stuff, right? And then boom, just like that, we're done. As always, if you guys want access to any one of my scripts or models, includes this or any of my other scripts or models, you guys become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. Link to either one of those options can be found in the description. Let's go ahead and test to make sure this works. Okay, this is actually my last video recorded at home for like 6 months. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Anyway, um, so we're going to open up the weapons folder and stuff. As you can see, it opens and closes properly. And oh, those are the buttons are a little bit bigger than they're supposed to be. Well, it's not really a glitch. It's more so all that just means is that I didn't make the frames the right size. That's better. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to change the other one. Okay. 140. So yeah. If you're having that issue, just adjust the UI grid layout. But anyway, so as you guys can see, primary weapons are to the left under this frame, right? Secondary weapons are to the right. And right here, oh, by the way, sorry, I meant to do this. Change the equipped secondary and equipped primary weapons text label. Change the text color to gold. This won't change anything. The reason is just I feel like visual appeal because you want it. Dear God, that is bright as hell. Okay. Um, Change the text stroke to black, right? But yeah. So yeah, there we go. That's better. So yeah. So I just wanted to kind of stand out because you see how like this is black text and everything, like everything else is black text. So I just wanted to kind of stand out and stuff. So the player knows which weapons they have equipped. So we have our AK-47, Deagle and stuff. Green, everything that's green is currently stuff I own. If we open up players, and then you'll see info, right? So I can obviously, if I try to purchase it, I don't have enough keys. If I switch to the server side, go to players, pull up leader stats, give myself a ton of keys. Watch this, right? I can purchase an AK-47. Bam, it's now green. I lost the keys. Now, if I click again, notice how it updated. AK-47 equipped. Primary weapon is now the AK-47. I can also switch back to the SCAR or back to the AK-47. I can also purchase the Deagle. Bam. I can switch between them. Deagle, Glock, Deagle, Glock, and it updates. So boom. So then once we, press play and try to teleport and everything, it'll send the equipped list, which is everything inside of the info folder, which is these two values. So that's how we've made a currency system, way to keep track of player owning guns, as well as way for them to purchase weapons and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, if you guys enjoyed part 3, definitely leave, like, subscribe. Of course, as always, if you guys find any bugs or anything like that, let me know in the comments, leave suggestions and stuff for anything you want to see. I think for part 4 I might try to do the sliding system and stuff. We'll just have to really see, honestly. Not totally sure, but that might be what I wanted. That might be what I go for and stuff. But yeah. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely leave, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching.